You're listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more. What up, everybody? It's your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. Welcome to a brand new Comic Crusaders podcast. And today we got two awesome guests, man. It's a creative duo. Absolutely. They got an awesome project, Hallucination Engine. Yep. No, folks, I did not smoke enough weed yet, so I'm not playing about hallucinations. I'm talking about they're doing some crazy stuff that will make you feel probably like you're blunted. You know, it's a production by the Super Geek League. Let me introduce the one and only Floyd McFeely and Mr. John Gallagher. Hey, what's up, fellas? How you doing?
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. We're gonna talk some business here, some punk, some artistry, some bonk. Let's.
Well, this always throws me off. I'm like, it's reversed.
Yeah, folks, let me tell you that thing behind them pre-show, I thought was really him standing, just waiting for me on camera. They were like, "Oh man, that freaked me out." I mean, he looks freaky. So, guys, thank you for coming on and chit chat a bit about the production and everything you guys are doing. So, a little bit about yourselves, Floyd. Can you tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from, and a little piece of your geekdom.
Yeah, well, Super Geek League is started off as a punk rock show about 20 years ago out of Seattle, Washington. That's where I used to live. Basically, the whole project started as a Christmas gift for friends in my inner circle. I sent out a character profiler and they filled it out, and then I turned it into a soundtrack and created all the characters, etc. And that was sort of the inception of Super Geek League. And then from there, after going into, once I released the limited edition LP and sent it out to all my friends, I went on tour in Europe with the Brand Flakes. Shout out to Mildred Pitts and Otis Fodder, and we played the Nantes Experimental Music Festival, and I was a dancing gorilla, CC Cudpucker. Really? And, yeah. And I got a free trip to Europe to do that, and that was awesome. And on the way back, Brand Flakes were, they were aware of my project. They're like, you should, open up for us in a local show in Seattle. And I was like, I don't have a band. It's just a music project. So they're like, well, we're pretty sure you can come up with something anyway. So I did, and proceeded to create an air guitar band behind me while I sang over top the actual recordings. And had a chicken playing the drums, a gorilla playing stand-up bass, and some crazy, I don't know what he was, but he was like an Arctic clown in full Arctic gear, rocking the tennis racket. And we just fucking went up there and did it. And then we started booking shows as a result. And
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And local promoters are like, come and do this. So I started to build a band around it. And then, we were going into venues, setting up full on trampolines and shit. And I always had auxiliary characters and all kinds of shit going on because I wanted to create an experience. And needless to say, we kind of made a name for ourselves, pissing off pretty much every venue, but definitely led to getting booked on Vans Warped Tour, which we got picked off on our very first day. We got thrown off the tour, which was, again,
on day one.
You guys
are really that bad, huh?
We didn't read the fine print, Al. They were like, this is a fucking family show. We're like, this is Warped Tour, dude. Like, what? Right. So apparently all the flying fish and debris and all the antics didn't go over very well. So we had to stick around, and we got reprimanded. I felt like I was in the principal's office again, getting this from the head of security, and they don't do that shit here. This is a family. I was like, okay, cool. So they allowed us to redeem ourselves and clean everything up. And we stayed on the tour and kind of snowballed from there. And then we just kept doing, I just kept adding to it. And every show that we do, I would just add more characters. I'd create more of the mythology, develop more of the mythos, and just throw it out there. And to eventually we were doing major festival productions where I was doing full on 120, circus performers across 5 stages, and constantly working on this narrative that was just kind of stewing in the background. And over the next couple years, I eventually decided to put it on a live stage and try to get a shot producing the actual Hallucination Engine for the live stage. And we did a couple of shows we did a couple of tune-up shows in Seattle and Portland before we took it to New York City in the Gramercy Theater, compliments of Live Nation and the AIG. And it was to sort of be a showcase off Broadway to see if Live Nation would be or AIG would be interested in picking it up. And so we took about 60 performers and produced this 2.5 hour epic odyssey. They're trying to condense this crazy world into a theatrical production. I don't think it was successful at articulating the actual narrative, but it definitely was successful in entertaining the fuck out of people. But needless to say, it didn't get picked up. And I kind of was like, I want to kind of take it into a new medium. And I always was interested in the graphic novel and comics, etc. And, having no experience in that, I found myself on, going and trying to find a great artist that kind of fit my style and my aesthetic. And I saw John's work on DeviantArt, and I was snooping around, and I stalked him, and I was like, this dude is perfect for the project. And I solicited to him, and John was kind enough to respond. And, this was years before the actual production came to be, but then he kind of did a couple of interpretations of some of the artwork that I sent him. And then we just kind of got busy, and I took a couple years. And after the show in New York City, I came back to him, and then it just clicked. John was like, yeah, I'm fucking ready. Let's go. Oh, and we just jumped right into it. So it took us about a year and a half to produce it, get all the artwork. And I mean, it was a pretty major undertaking. And John was just an absolute beast. I mean, I never seen an artist just take something that was so not, that's just so off the wall and bizarre and just handle it. And he never, he would just take it. He would take the art direction. He would crank out comps. I'd be like, no, let's try this. Let's try that. And he didn't skip a beat. I mean, he was truly a consummate professional. I've never worked with somebody that just crushed so much brilliance in such a short period of time on a weekly basis and never skipped a beat. So it was really an amazing process to just see it come to life in a different fashion, because I did everything live and, was used to producing costumes and theatrical productions. But in this medium, I had no experience, and John really, really was instrumental in bringing it to life. So hats off to him. And, we are now at that point where we're like, okay, we got it out there, and we've kind of been experimenting with models. I'm not familiar with the space as much as John is, and John's just his resume speaks for itself. But just how do we get it out to the people? How do we, it's really kind of off the wall, and it's not for everybody.
This is what I wanted to ask. Were you not being a punk rocker out there, causing mayhem everywhere? So you were never a fan of comics growing up?
Oh, I was. Yeah, for sure. But it wasn't like I was never steeped in the medium in terms of, I wasn't an illustrator. I couldn't draw. I was definitely writing scripts all the time. And I thought cinematically all the time. And I did a lot of multimedia stuff. And I had that in my repertoire as well. I did a lot of animation stuff, which is actually, we kind of used in the sort of the motion graphic approach with our project. But I wasn't an illustrator. I mean, I could hack my way through designs and do a lot of comps because I designed a lot of costumes and all the characters you see. But to bring it to life and actually in that cinematic fashion that you have, the beautiful still imagery and capturing that in a comic, that type of style and approach, I never had any experience doing that. I mean, storyboarding and all that from a production standpoint, but I just never gave it a shot. So this was kind of the first crack at it, and working with John was just instrumental in all that. And I think our combined skills turned it into something kind of different, because it's not a traditional comic or a motion comic that you see out there. There's it's more cinematic, I think, than, especially with the music and
that's what I'm saying. You guys say it's a digital audio enhanced motion graphic.
Yeah. And I think it's a lot of words, because it's so hard to just say what it is. And that's always been a challenge of describing what the fuck you are. That's always been my challenge. I'm like,
gotcha.
It is what it is. You got to go check it out for yourself because it doesn't fit in a box. So
as it shouldn't. That's comics. It should, it's art. It's different as it should be. So, John, why was that? What made you decide that, okay, I'm ready now to tackle this insane project from the mind of Floyd?
Well, Floyd was standing me pretty hard. He was tracking me down. He wouldn't let me go. And I appreciate a client. And at that point, our relationship was client based. It wasn't, we weren't. I have many clients that I'm not friends with. I adore them. They're wonderful, but not in the shoot the shit sense of friendship, where you have some insight into people's lives and their history and their story. I think I was intrigued by it because I was scared of it. I had the privilege through the course of my career, from starting as a comics obsessed monster kid, moving forward, trying to somehow figure out a way, because I'm a 70s kid, right? So there wasn't an ecosystem or an infrastructure to really connect to people. There's only your local comic store, if you were fortunate enough to have one in your hometown, which I did when I was much older. But in my formative years, there wasn't really anything. It's kind of a neighborhood discourse. So the idea of connecting to people who are like-minded was a bit more of a challenge, and you kind of felt alone and so on. Flash forward to working at BioWare, which was my first real collaborative environment as a creator. That made all the difference. So immediately, through the course of the 9 years I was there, I become a professional. And part of being a professional is to treat all your potential clients with respect. You don't disregard it. You don't dispute it. You just say, well, thank you for thinking of me. I appreciate you reaching out. And initially I thought, Floyd was in that silo, right? And that's only fair, I think, as you disseminate who you want to work with and the reasons you want to work with them. And I was scared of the project the first time. I'm not going to bullshit anybody. I think there's projects that you can see the bottom of the pool, and there's other ones you can't. And I think it's just a matter philosophically or creatively, or as you evolve as a creator, you have more experience under your belt with more and more significant challenges. You eventually build up that set of muscles that is going to be the right combination of explosive power and nuance. And I also didn't understand it, and that's exciting. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. What I appreciate is, because I do a lot of work. I'm almost exclusively in film and television, of course, screen-based entertainment. And I do comic covers, which are largely just me. Editorially, I'm sitting doing an image I think will be appealing and somehow speak about the book. But it doesn't have rock and roll in it. It doesn't have vigor and metal and energy in the traditional collaborative sense. It's mostly just me sitting here.
Yeah.
So I appreciated a couple of things about it. One, as I said, that I didn't understand the damn thing, and I can understand quite a bit. I was like, okay, so this is the psilocybin diaries. Got it. All right, let's move forward. And as Floyd moved the story forward and enriched it and gave it muscle and endurance and legs from that 2-year period, when he initially contacted me, I was like, okay, I don't have much to hang my hat on narratively. Like, why would I give a shit about doing this thing? Who are the characters I'm going to care about? What's their journey? What's their story? Typical producer questions you ask, like, why would I want to spend time and money on this experience just because it's cool? That works when you're on stage. You just sensory overload. Yeah, liquid light, just flood me, baby. And you're kind of, you're probably kind of, high, and there's an energy from the live experience that doesn't translate, yes, or is very difficult to translate to the experience that we've offered people. So yeah, I was scared of it and I didn't understand it, which is usually you know, the recipe for me being intrigued by something on a creative level. And there were things I didn't know if I could do, and I can do anything. One thing, if anybody knows me, I don't lack for confidence. So there was moments in this thing I didn't know if I could do it. Like how,
and what was the most difficult? Yeah,
through the process, I was like, there's moments I didn't know.
Wow,
how do I do this? I'm visually literate, and I don't know how to do this. This is representing a number of challenges that I'm thrilled that I, first of all, had the opportunity to work with someone like Floyd with, as I kind of moved past those obstacles. And I tell you, once you've crushed Hallucination Engine, nothing scares you after this. Nothing. And I'm going to go on. Please put that on record. Internet, I know you never forget. This is for the record, and on the record forever. It really is a matter of the challenge was too sweet to say no, and too terrifying to consider. So
terrifying. Look at that.
And that's fair. I have a lot of friends in the game, and a lot of them play it safe. They stay in their lane and they do their thing, and good for them. And it's wonderful. They put their kids through college. They do all their things. But I thought, you know, it's ironic that, you know, when you're getting to the, you know, you're reaching a point where you're at the height of your powers, you know, you feel comfortable and confident and everything. Why wouldn't I take the more difficult choice? Why wouldn't I take the more daunting challenge instead of just playing it safe? Because that's anti-punk rock, is to play it safe and be soft. You go, well, and you know, Floyd and I share that pedigree all the way back. I think we were both jumping off stages when we were teenagers. So the energy of that you never forget. The lessons of punk rock you never forget.
I was jumping off stages at 30 still.
How did it go? There's the question. How did it go?
Yeah.
Like, oh God, my back.
Yeah, the next day definitely, but I was still doing it. I'll tell you that much. That's the way on that, and I'll do it now.
Yeah, you light it up, and I think you light it up any number of ways, because you show that, you know, while you may have changed as a lion, you have, like, to me, a creative challenge is probably the most daunting thing a human can do. I've jumped out of airplanes. I've done all this death-defying nonsense, and none of it comes close, except maybe the birth of my daughter. I have to say that was probably the most harrowing existential moment in my life.
Look, man, you and me both, brother. You and me both. When I saw my baby girl born, and I was there in the room, it was, oh my God.
There's nothing like it.
Yeah,
there's nothing like it. Now, I realize people have often equated the creative process with the birth of a child. I mean, it's a disservice to both, to be honest. But
yes,
this felt like the first time that I was at a ground zero was something that I didn't inherit, and I wasn't refurbishing. Like this, it has an immediacy. So I knew I had to do it, and I was scared I was doing it at the same time. And I'm scared. I'm not scared of anything. And
excellent.
This thing made me a little nervous.
And it's gorgeous. I mean, look at that cover. Look at that coloring. It's freaky as heck, dude.
Dude, I know. Like, some of the stuff that Floyd was sending me, I said, this is, in the traditional sense of and even a modern hot take, I said, I'm dealing with a madman who also is brilliant, funny, cogent, connected, grounded, all the things that you just go, how is it possible for a realist to also be this? I'm like, okay, that's interesting. This is the kind of person that I want to collaborate on something with. Because in film, for example, collaboration has a different nuance. You're a part of a very long, highly personneled pipeline, right? So you contribute your key element to the process, and then it moves along, and then you contribute your key element, and then it moves along. And in this case, the buck stopped with us, and we were the final editorial stamp. And any artist will tell you that the autonomy is everything. until they're given autonomy. And, and then you see where, where it really cuts. But I think we ended up with a really tremendous result. Like some of the drawing I look at and go, if I had more time. Well, there's the enemy of us all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I was using a different process, which this never would have got done, if I'd done what I was considering doing, it would have got finished. And
Understood.
You have to make choices, and along the course of those choices, you end up with also some really tremendous happy accidents where you're like, I never would have thought of that till just now. And that's what I appreciated, is that there was all these kind of creative landmines that I kept stepping on, and it was the best because you just get a jolt from it. You're like, oh geez, I don't know how I did that.
I love it. I mean, that means that you learn, because again, what's life without growth and learning? Because it's true. Once you reach that point, you think you're a pro, and then you get challenged or see something new again, or you feel that renewed energy. It's a reinvigoration. It feels good. And before we continue that, I want to play this little 20-second joint you got from the YouTube that I have up. Let's play it real quick so people also understand what's going on here. Oh wow. Now that looked cool.
Yeah, a little intro.
That looks so cool. And that art, that creature, I mean, it definitely reminds me of old school, like heavy metal album art.
Thanks, man.
It's on that.
I was raised on Heavy Metal magazine.
Oh, there you go. So it has that style, that look. I mean, I could definitely see Heavy Metal picking up something like this, because they definitely do pick up some very odd stories, if you will, in books that they give a chance to. So I think
we had a lot of metal influence, that's for sure. So clearly.
And I want you to explain to me, who the hell is Bonk that's behind you, bro? Because I can't stop looking at that thing.
Well, Bonk is basically in the story. It's kind of like the essence of clown, and the entire world on Terra 5, which the protagonist Oppenheimer, aka Minkles, hallucinated using the Hallucination Engine, and that is basically the substance, much like the spice of Dune, to where everything and everyone is trying to harvest and control. So that's kind of an undertone with much of the narrative. And so the Bonk is basically we have on our website the Bonk points, the ultimate Bonk package. So everything's kind of centered around the idea of Bonk, of course, with the logo and the merchandising and apparel. So it's a fundamental foundation of the whole sort of mythology, the underlining of the Hallucination Engine. So.
All right. So when is the book coming to fruition? Is it out? Can we get our hands on it? So what's up then? So where can we go to get it? Is it just the website? Can we get it at our local shop?
Nope, just at the website. We've submitted to Diamond distributors. I mean, they're going to evaluate it and stuff like that. And I had to go through the process of writing out all of the marketing plan and all that stuff. And we'll see. I mean, we'll see if they pick it up. But we're trying to push more of the digital experience right now, because we got to build a fan base. And that's one of the things that John and I discussed, is that instead of making a bunch of stuff and trying to put it into shops, and if you go into and I've visited a lot of independent stores, and much of them are it's like they're going to be catered to the big boys, and the DCs, the Marvels, and the Dark Horse, and rightfully so. I mean, they got all the goodies, and they control the market, and that's what people are going in there for. But as an independent, I always equate this to when we first started out performing. You had to go out and play shitty shows, man. You had to go to play for free, get in front of people, make a scene. And you don't go to a show and start charging people $50 to go see a band that no one's never heard of. They ain't gonna do it. So you got to play for $5, play for free, get in there, and then people see you and go, oh shit, that's cool. Give me some take behinds, give me some leave behinds. Let me take this stuff, go check it out. And then, kind of lead them down that path and show them that okay, this is something worthwhile and something I want to check out. And I think digitally we can do that a lot easier than print. But print's available if people want to get it. We do include the ultimate bonk package where we basically giving a T-shirt away, a book, and the entire digital experience at cost.
Nice.
And we're going to open that whole model up as well. We're going to make the whole series free for anybody that wants to get in there, because we want people to come inside the venue. We don't want them to be locked out. You know what I mean? Looking in and going, fuck, what's going on in here? And going, oh, you want to charge me $20? I'm not going to fucking do it. I don't know who you are. So that was a big a change we're making this week. As a matter of fact, we're lifting up the gates and allowing people to come in.
Man. The bodega's open, folks.
Yeah, exactly. And from there, we want to build fans. We want to cultivate a relationship with our fan base and build communities, and that's something that both of us have done throughout our careers. And we're going as far as say, because there's 3 series planned, and we've already have the second series written. John and I haven't gone into production yet, but we have the 3rd series, which is the Hallucination Wars. We're opening it up by allowing people to go through the process we call the Quest for Bonk on our site. And if they go through and collect all the bonk points and kind of jump through the hoops and kind of gamify it a little bit, make it a little interesting in consuming Series 1, then we're going to allow them to create their own character for the Super Geek League. And then we'll have a chance to check it out. And, since we haven't written it yet, we'll develop some of these characters. And this is going back to my original inception of Super Geek League, when I allowed people just to create characters. So from a community building standpoint, that's kind of cool to be like, yeah, shit, I want to fucking participate. But the reason why we bring them through the Quest for Bonk and we give them a test and all that is because we want to make sure we qualify them. Like, do you understand the universe? As John was saying, it's pretty intimidating. We don't want to create a character if you have no context for this universe. It's not like, Captain Underpants. I'm like, okay, well, how is this fucker going to apply to the Hallucination Engine Wars? So we have to set that context, but hopefully getting people and fans in to say, I like this. This is cool. I like what you guys are doing. I want to participate, and cultivating that type of energy as we go. And
this sounds to me like a card game now. One of those card games that people play. I could see that coming out of this, because if it's a whole world of nuttiness, I could see this behind a metal or punk, soundtrack while people are playing. You got to finish before the X songs finish. So
There's Al. He's on our game development team.
I love it. I'm already thinking here. I'm digging it.
No, I mean, that's kind of the cool thing, is that it's open-ended, and we kind of made it that way, where it's like, we're not going to resolve anything. We're going to continue to create and have this open platform and open world to a certain degree, but trying to, the trick is to make a really cool narrative. As John said, what are your characters? What is their character arc and their path, and why should I be invested in them? And it's hard. I mean, we want to be able to get people in the venue, see the show, much like a Super Geek League show. They came in there and go, I don't know what the fuck just happened, but wow. I mean, Bonk, what are you doing next? I don't get it, but
it's bonkers.
Check it out. Yeah. But at least with this, I think I did a better job, at least presenting the story and narrative. It's a little bit more comprehensive, but it's definitely walking that line and what we used to do than the live show. But I think that's kind of, ironically enough, the metaphor here is that it is like you got your band coming out of the garage, and you got to go and play and put it out there and build a fan base, build it organically. So, and that's another thing, testament to you for allowing us to come on here. It's like it's really hard to get booked for anything, and people want to hear from a new property that's virtually unknown. So hats off to you for setting up this platform. So
no, we're here to help independent on all scales. I mean, your project just stood out to me. I like colorful things, and I mean, it just looks amazing. And why not be in support of folks that are, trying to do things that are a little different and bring different narratives and styles? I mean, John being even challenged. Now I'm curious, was there any one particular character or scene that you challenged you the most within the first book?
Well, no, I can't narrow it down. It's just, it's a blur of, oh man. I think though, drawing on my own experience from film, especially because I'm a lapsed storyboard artist. what you're trying to accomplish, and comics run in a different direction. People often ask, well, what's the similarity? Well, you're telling a story visually, but with storyboards, you're also concerned with focal lengths and your camera speed, your shutters, everything. So there's different considerations. So I approached it like we were making, for want of a better term, our version, using our own perverse media. We were making a movie versus making a comic book. And comic books, which I love, clearly my home is surrounded. I love the art form. It's very near and very dear to me, but it tries to tell stories differently. Every frame is a painting for a comic, whereas we're trying to propel a narrative forward in a way that's breezier than perhaps your average comic. So we have an eye towards, how do we expedite this as a motion comic? How do we expedite it as, potentially an animated series? So when we're building it, we're not building it in the traditional comic book way, where I have a grid and I break it down. I go, okay, close up here, establishing shot here. So it tests your ability to create a form language in terms of the storytelling. But because with us, in Hallucination Engine, you never know which axis is which. You have a world that you're never quite sure what your point of contact is, what your point of composure is, what the power balance is in the scene. So you just go, and there's been times where I've had, and I don't push away from anything really. I mean, this is my career, and by virtue of being doggedly determined, if nothing else, certainly not talent or skill, but just perseverance and determination, I was like, there's no way this project's going to beat me. It's not going to happen. But we're going to come up with a result that neither Floyd nor I were expecting. And in the course of storytelling, in the course of creating this grand adventure, I learned a whole bunch of different things, a bunch in process and methodology and in creative approach and how to think of things moving forward. It wasn't a radical renovation. I'm not going to be overly dramatic, but it did inform my work on The Boys, which I just finished season 3, which was an absolute delight to be a part of.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
Doctor Strange 2. So there's a whole lot of that too. And I don't know if I could have had the extra gears in my shifter if it hadn't been for Hallucination Engine, which I owe gratitude to it. It freed me up in ways I wasn't expecting to. Now I'm absolutely fearless. I am. It was the crucible, and I point to it. And if anybody ever asks me, like, what was the thing that changed the game for you? Like, what made you a combination of, utterly and completely confident in your ability to execute and also creatively daring? What was the thing that made you jump off the cliff? And I just pointed at Hallucination Engine. I just said, this fucking nightmare. It's a beautiful thing, because the agony that you see, like, this from talking to artists, Alan, this, Floyd, of course, too, having a complex, rich fantasy life. Those struggles are always internal. They usually manifest like you're grumpy with people or whatever, but it's entirely an internal evolution. And I speak to any artists who are watching today, any writers. I said, do the daring thing, do the preposterous and stupid and challenging and wild thing. And the consequences of that, the residual effects of that are, quite remarkable. I didn't think I was due for a shakeup as a creator. I figured I'll just sail on, and this hit me like in my 50s. Ooh. And it just raised my game. Like, I just bumped from here to here. And, my gratitude to the project and to Floyd and all of the process of it are in, I can't quantify it necessarily, but I can certainly tell in what my hand does as a direct result of what my cortex doing backflips trying to create this thing. Because it's so out of my zone. Ironically, it's a combination. It's adjacent to everything I love, but it's just out of my comfort zone. As I said, if you can't feel the bottom of the pool, you're doing the right thing. You're doing the right project.
I don't know how to swim, man. Don't scare me.
Oh, dude.
I can't feel about it. I start panicking.
Well, because we fail in public. So this wasn't a thing that, when I'm doing personal work and I jank a drawing, I don't necessarily have to show anybody. But this is a public display of a struggle to tell an impossible story. Almost impossible story. I think for the sake of argument, it's virtually impossible to tell the story. But we did it.
Great.
It's like, well, man, if I could do that,
Beautiful.
We can move any mountain, really.
That's great. So what's the timeline for the second book then? When can we expect that? Or it's just a work in progress and no firm?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. It's to be determined. I think, like I said, we're focused on trying to get this building up our fan base right now with the first, because that's the thing. We put so much work and effort and blood, sweat, and tears into the project, and it's so hard. The marketing side is something I'm terrible at. I'll admit that wholeheartedly. I'm not good at it. I'm trying to get good at it, and you really have to. You have to kind of beat on your own drum. And I've always been kind of behind the scenes type of dude, just grind and work and put it out there. And I really have to, make a concerted effort to go and like doing Comic-Con events and standing there and stuff like that.
Is there a con coming up for you guys in the future where we could see you guys? What's up?
Yeah.
Where?
We're going to do the Motor City Comic-Con at the Novi Convention Center in Novi, Michigan, and then the Cherry Capital Festival 2 weeks later in Traverse City. So those are the two that we have locked right now. Well, we also wanted to get our shit together in a sense of putting things out there, and it's trial by fire, right? So I don't have a manual. I don't know. I'm like trying to figure shit out. And when you have a new property that is like, okay, what the fuck is this? You need feedback to define it, and you need people to come in and go, who is this for, and who's this audience for? And then our fans kind of go, have you considered targeting this group? No, we didn't. I mean, we're in a fucking bubble here. I don't know. I think it's cool. John thinks it's cool, but where are the fans at, and where are you going to find them? How are you going to reach them? And it's really challenging to put stuff up on, on the internet. And I'm not a big internet guy in the sense of posting every day and look at me, I'm eating fucking toast. And
but you don't have to post that way. You could post pieces of the art or the process, stuff like that. I don't do the food thing either. I post daily.
You know what I mean?
But I know what I mean. No one's gonna see me eating empanadas.
Yeah.
And know that I love them, but I'm not taking a picture.
I think we're doing a good job. I mean, I'm putting it out there and doing all the right things. It's just it takes time to cultivate and build. And I think things like this and getting out, and as John said, and I totally agree with this, it's like if people can see that we're just a couple of regular dudes that just make fucking crazy shit, that's how you build your audience. That's how you build your fan base, is you see, hey, we're just regular guys. We're not, we're just making weird shit. That's kind of what we've done our whole lives. So, that this type of platform and this delivery system and saying, hey, at the Comic-Cons, just come on up, check us out, and be happy to talk about it. It's easy for me to talk about.
Excellent.
Check it out. Go on the website. Look for yourself. I know it's not going to be for everybody. We know that. And, that's okay. But there will be some people that go, wow, this is really cool and different and unique in approach and style and narrative and all that. And like John said, we didn't play it safe. I don't know. I don't know how to do a commercial. I really don't. I even if I tried, I don't think I could. It's just going to come out all fucked up and weird and what you see in front of you. And that's just kind of my jam. And, so we want to build a fan base and get it to, and we're ready to go. I mean, we already have everything written. This thing's lock and loaded. And I know once John and I jump in again, it's going to be like, boom. And it'll probably be better because we learned so much in the production process, because this is totally unique. just the approach and style as we developed it, and John even getting to a point where he was organizing files a certain way, knowing what I was doing on the animation side, he was just getting it intuitively. He's like, oh, okay, I need to separate these elements so you can grab them and do your fucking mojo on the other side of it. But we learned through trial by fire, because we didn't start that way. And then I just kind of developed it as we went. And then John picked up on it. So it was really a great ride. And I know we're going to keep going, and who knows what is going to happen next. But these Comic-Cons will be an interesting, and first, kind of interesting for me because I haven't done it before, but also opening it up and allowing people to go in there for free and check it out.
There you go, folks.
I think we've just, we shut the door. Now we're opening it up. So hopefully we'll see what happens.
And folks, there you go. This is where you go. All right. The store is open, folks. Take a look. Check out the awesome project that Floyd and John are bringing to the world. I mean, visit them at the cons, talk about the project, spread the love. This is going to be amazing. I think you guys have something special here, and it was great to chat with you guys about the project, that journey. I love the rawness of you guys here, because just being honest about it. It's not an easy thing, but when you do it, it's rocking and rolling. And John, just speaking about your growth and those challenges and how that's even made you better. I mean, damn, Doc Strange and the boys too, batshit crazy things in themselves. And you're saying how much this, I can't imagine how much crazy this could be then to make you that twisted. I can't. So folks, I mean, you got to understand what I had with John here. This is transformative.
That was
his cocoon.
John's a fucking Titan, He's a Titan.
Love it. I love it. Well, you too, Floyd, man. You're going to be a Titan. I can't wait to see what you guys keep bringing to the game with the Hallucination Engine. Again, folks, check out the website, hallucinationengine.com. Check them out on Facebook, all right, Hallucination Engine, and on Instagram, The Hallucination Engine. Show them the love, show them the support, say hello, visit the website, buy the packages, have some fun. Or if not, Bonk is going to be in your nightmares, smiling down on you like that. Look at this guy. I'm telling you, that looks so creepy. He's messing with me. All right. So with that, everybody, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you, Floyd and John. Guys, the outro says everything you need to do with the exception of visit our swag shop at comiccrusaders.us. And for all your comic books, visit none other than comiccrusaders.shop. All right? That's where you got to go and shop. Guys, thank you again. Much love.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us, man. Appreciate it, Al.
No problem. Thank you, Al.
My pleasure.
As always.
Wepa, guys. Later. Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.com and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also, make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.